Hello friends, Jermaine here and welcome to this video. We are resuming our Flutter app series, building a restaurant search application using the Zomato API. So here's what we have right now. We can enter in a search term and then we can hit search, and then our results now look like this. So each result has an image, a title, a location, and it's got a rating section for it. In a scenario where a result doesn't have a feature image, we just create this display as a fallback. All the results look essentially like that. And then we've got a section at the top right here, which show a list of filters we can use to enhance our search. We're not going to be doing that in this video. We'll do that in the next one. But for now, this is what it looks like. And without further delay, let's get into it. We are going to refactor our logic used to search for restaurants when we hit search. So we've got this function which makes a call to retrieve our search results, and then we do a set state, at which point we update the restaurants list. There is a much better way of making API calls that return future objects. Fortunately, the Dart team have got a specialist widget called the FutureBuilder, which can simplify this for us. So I'll comment this out and then we'll type FutureBuilder. This takes in a couple of options. First, it takes in a future. Our future will be based on our search restaurants function. And then we need to specify a query in here. If we come up, let's create a query state property. When our query comes through from the search form, we will capture that query. And here we'll just do a set state and then we'll update our query. We need to change this section. So rather than restaurants equal to null, we can say query equal to null. So initially this query will be set to null because it doesn't have a value. But once that is set, then we'll go ahead and we'll use this FutureBuilder to make our future call. Next, we need to ensure that this actually returns something. Rather than setting this, we just need to return the list of restaurants, and let's mark this as a future, which returns a list. FutureBuilder takes in a builder argument, which gives us access to the context and a snapshot. In here is where we'll handle the results from our future. For instance, we can check our snapshot. In this case, we want to check that our snapshot has data, which means that the operation was successful and we got our results. If so, we'll return all of this. And let's tidy this up like so. And for now, we can return a text widget if we happen to have any errors. And then let's log out what the error is by doing snapshot.error. Let's test this out and see what that gives us. So if I go ahead and enter my search term and I hit search, okay, right, restaurants. At this point, if snapshot has data, we can retrieve the data from our snapshot by doing snapshot.data. If I run this, okay, we get another error. So we just need to cast this mapping to widget, and that gives us the results. So this means that we can get rid of this list of restaurants. I also want to display a circular progress indicator whenever we're making a call, because when I change the search term and I hit search, it goes ahead and does the call, but then it just snaps to this. There's no indication of a call happening. In here, we can listen to the connection state. So we'll do snapshot.connection state. If the connection state is waiting, i.e. the API call is in progress, we want to return a center widget where the child is a circular progress indicator. So I'll save that, what you just saw there. So if I hit search, we see that, then we get a result. Next, we're gonna look at this area, in particular, the way we are extracting our data from each restaurant. This approach is okay, but as a matter of convention, we would actually have what's known as a data class. They act as a wrapper around these data values. We are going to create a class called restaurant. So this will be a model for each of our restaurant items. And then we'll define a couple of fields. Okay. And then we are going to create our constructor. This takes in a map object from our response, and then we're going to initialize the fields in this class. So, and now that we've created this, we can use it here as such, and I'll change this to JSON. So in here, we'll instantiate restaurant and pass in our JSON. And then for all of these, we can do restaurant.name, then .address, .rating, then .reviews. Let's save this. Okay, so we get type int is not of type string. Alright, and this is related to our rating, I believe. If we look at the example JSON response and look at our rating, some of the ratings are strings, but some are also integers. So what we need to do is over here, we can invoke toString to convert the rating into a string. So I'll save that, and that should fix it. Alright, cool. In fact, I'm going to extract a couple more details from our JSON object. So we need an ID, we need the locality information, and then we need the thumbnail. And also by convention, rather than doing that, we'll normally have a named constructor that is private. And then in here, we'll define our parameters. And then this restaurant becomes a factory constructor, at which point it returns an instance of our private named constructor, restaurant. And in here, we'll initialize our fields. Thumbnails in our JSON object can be either the featured image or the thumb. If there's no thumbnail, it just returns null. Alright, so let's look at how we can change this widget into the material card design. I'll create another widget called restaurant item. And then in our build function, for now, let's just return that. We define a restaurant instance variable, and then we'll create our constructor and then pass in the restaurant object. Let me save that. And then you just need to return an instance of our restaurant item and then pass in this restaurant object. And in fact, let's smooth this out a bit more. I'll copy this in here and then I'll just do that. Get rid of this semicolon. Get rid of that. Then we have that. Okay, so that still works. So rather than returning a list tile, we are going to return a card widget. And for a child, start by passing in a row. We'll create a container with a width and height. We'll give it a color, blue-gray, and then the child will be our icon. And then we want the restaurant icon. And then we'll set a size of that icon, and then we'll set the color to white. So this will be the default display for restaurants that do not have a featured image or a thumbnail. So for restaurants that do have a featured image, we'll create an ink widget and the dimensions will be the same. This ink widget takes in a decoration. We'll give it the same color as the container and we'll set our image. And then the image will be a network image because the thumbnail is a URL. So in here, we'll just say restaurant.thumbnail. Let's comment this out and test it. Okay, so in here, what we want to do is setting the fit to boxfit.cover, and that should give us that. All right, so let me add some spacing at the edges so that it lines up with the input and button widgets. I'll wrap this card in a padding widget and we'll close it off here as such. And we need to provide a padding value and we'll set it to 6. And let's round off the corners because right now it looks quite sharp. We'll specify a shape and then we want a rounded rectangle border and we'll specify a border radius. And we'll set it to 5. Okay, so currently we don't see anything because we need to set the clip behavior of this card. And then we want it to be anti-alias. And yeah, that now rounds it off there. We can have a condition here that will check that the restaurant's thumbnail is not null. And also we want to check that the restaurant thumbnail is not an empty string. If that's the case, we'll render this. If that's not the case, we want to render this container instead. So let's save that. And yep, that should now give us that. All right, so next we need to sort the bits on the right. For our next item in the row, we'll create a column. A column children will consist of the restaurant name, the restaurant locality, which looks like that, and then the rating for the restaurant, which for now looks like that. Let's set a style for the name. Let's set the font size to 15 and the font weight to bold. And let's set the cross-axis alignment to start, to shift all of it to the left. And also let's add some padding around this, which will take this column as a child. And we'll give it a value of 15. Let's improve the indentation a bit. So let's test out another result by searching for London. Alright, so we get our results. But then when we look here, we get a text overflow error. The first thing we need to do is to wrap this bit in what's known as a flexible widget, which would shift it to the next line like that. Also, let's add some spacing between these. So I'll use a sized box and the height will be about 7. And let's repeat that here. Yeah, it looks like the spacing is making this section not display right. So rather than having these on 2 lines, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'll adjust the setting here by making the overflow display the ellipses instead. So like that, just so that the design looks a bit more consistent across the results. And also we don't have to worry about the height changing. And let's make this slightly smaller. So the next bit we need to look at is this bit, the locality. We need to display the map icon next to it. That means we need a row, and this text will be a child of that row. And then we can have our icon. This uses the location on icon. So if I save that, let's see what that looks like. Okay, that looks like that. Let's set the color. Then let's make the size a bit smaller. And let's add some spacing between these two. Okay, so that looks quite nice. And then next we need to look at the rating section. And instead of showing us a number, we're going to show it as a star rating. So this brings me to a Flutter package. And this Flutter package is called Flutter Rating Bar. So it allows us to display a rating bar as a widget. And it's quite flexible. But for our use case, we just want the star. So let's install this package. I'll copy that. Then under dependencies, place that here. I'll save that. And you can run Flutter pub-get in the terminal. Let's go ahead and import it. And after importing it, I'll scroll down over here and we'll use it by instantiating the rating bar indicator widget. So this takes our rating. Okay, it expects a double, and then this is an item builder, and we're going to return an icon. We want the star icon, and then the color will be amber. Okay, so that gives us that for some results. Let me get rid of this. Let's reduce the size as well. Okay, so that looks like that. Okay, let's search for something else. And when I hit search, we get these results. In fact, I don't like how this keypad remains open when we hit search. So let's hide this one. If we come to our search form state, in our submit, we run on search, but we can use what's known as a FocusManager. And what FocusManager is it allows us to manage widgets that have a focused state. So we'll get a FocusManager instance, and then we want the primary focus, which if we focus on it, it says the node that currently has the primary focus, which will be our text field. And then we just need to unfocus. So when I click search, that keypad now collapses. All right. I'll get rid of this bit. Let's amend the request a bit. So over here, when we're making the request, the Zomato API also allows us to define a sort query variable. And then we can sort by various things. But for now, I'll just put rating and take a look at the API. And I'll save that. All right. So when we sort by rating, we get the highest ones at the top. And then it goes lower. And most of them have images. And in fact, it would be nice if we're able to configure some of these options. And if we look at the API, we can also define an order. I mentioned the sort, so these are the options for it. And also we got an entity type here as well. But for now, we can test the order as such. And that should order it descending or ascending, so on and so forth. In fact, I'll get rid of these two because we're going to be setting those options on our search filter screen, which means that we're going to be building that now. In the search page state in our app bar, we are going to define an actions list. In this actions list, I'll create an inquo widget. The child of this will be a container. This will have an icon, and we want the tune icon. So it looks like that. And in fact, we can make this a padding widget, and we'll set the padding on the right and left. The value we'll specify is 15. In order to show the ripple effect, we'll specify an on-tap function, which will show the ripple effect when we click over it, such. Okay, so before we navigate to the search filter screen, let's go ahead and create it first. So I'm gonna come all the way down here. I'll create a stateful widget. I'll define my state. Then in the build function, we'll return a scaffold widget. The body will just be a text widget that says filter your search. And we're not going to see anything yet, but if we come over here, we want to trigger page navigation by using the navigator object. We'll pass in the current build context, and then we'll push our new route. We want a material page route. In this builder, we are going to return our search filters widget. So right now, if I click on that, that shows us that. And we've got the text over there, which is a bit concealed right now, but it says filter your search. And then we can come back here. Let's provide an app bar for our scaffold. We'll set the title, and let's set the background color of this scaffold to red. Okay, let's see this again. Okay, looks like that. And also let's set the background of this app bar to red. Okay, looks like that. Okay, so now I'm just gonna center this one, the center title option to true, and then we'll make it bold. Let's indent it a bit. Before we end this episode, why don't we deploy what we've built so far to our device. So I'm going to deploy it to my Android device. I need to sort one thing out. So if we go to the Android directory under app, source, main, we need to open our Android manifest XML, and we need to place these two lines. So this one enables us access to the internet, and this one enables us to access the network state. Ideally, we can just do with that, but I'm just going to use both. So let's save that. And once this is in place, we can now do Flutter build, and I will build an APK file. So this is for Android. It will initially take a while. And once that is done, connect to your Android device. Just make sure USB debugging is enabled, and we're just going to run Flutter devices. That'll give us a list of devices connected, and we just want to make note of the device name. So this is my mobile phone that I've connected right now. So let's now do Flutter install, and then I'll specify my device name, which is Pixel XL, and let's go ahead and install it. Okay, and I can show you what I have on my mobile screen. And I need to close this down. Okay, let's try again. Okay, so this is what I have on my mobile screen right now. So I can enter in a search term and then hit search. And there we go. We got our list of results. Over here is search, and my device disconnected because I'm using a bad wire. Let's try that again. Okay. And let's try another search term. And there we go. And we got our images as well. All right, I'm gonna end the tutorial here. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and share this video. If you are not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon, and so you don't miss out on any future updates. If you've got any questions, let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.